is stunningly beautiful, but we all take it for granted. Sound familiar? But just why do the leaves turn red? Well, I'm in Harcourt Arboretum now, which struck me as a great place to film trees, and I'm joined by Dr. Nick Brown from the Department of Plant Sciences at the University of Oxford, where he studies forest ecology. So Nick, you're the perfect person to tell us about the colours of trees. First of all, why are trees green?
Okay, they're green because they're taking in light from the sun, and they're using that to manufacture their food. But they're not using all of the light that they're capturing. They have a pigment inside the leaf, inside its cell structure, which is very good at catching red and blue light and very poor at catching green light. It uses the red and the blue light for manufacturing its food, and it reflects the green light. And
so
that's
the green
why,
light bounces off?
That's why trees appear green to us.
And that's why we see them as green, okay.
So essentially the green is a waste product.
Right, okay, and that's chlorophyll, isn't it?
Chlorophyll is the pigment that does the absorbing of the light for photosynthesis.
And that's what the entire system, all the living things on the planet depend on, isn't it?
Yeah, nearly all life on this planet actually is dependent on that very, very simple process for capturing the sun's energy and turning it into the bottom rung of the food chain.
Okay, but some plants, when they're sort of fully happy doing their thing, it's not autumn, they're not sort of dying off, are different colours. Why is that?
Well, some plants manufacture other sorts of chemicals for other purposes. Some of them have other pigments for capturing other bits of light. There are also compounds which leaves manufacture to keep insects off them. Essentially they're insecticides, they're poisons, they're put there to essentially make the leaves repellent to the things that like to feed on them. Okay,
so what we're talking about today, as autumn is coming round, is why leaves actually change colour, why they go gold and brown and red and all those other beautiful colours that so inspire us. But we kind of take it for granted, don't we? But it's actually a bit of a mystery. Do people actually know why trees turn different colours? Well, before you answer that question, we'll go and find ourselves a yellow tree, shall we?
Okay.
Okay. It's pretty yellow.
Yeah, this one's yellowing up nice. Yeah, yellow and brown here.
Okay, so what's happening to this tree?
Perfect example. What's happening here is these leaves are actually, the tree's getting these leaves ready to drop them. Yeah? Now, trees drop their leaves in this part of the world in autumn because they become a cost. It actually, rather like running a car, it's a constant drain. Yeah, and if you're not using it, you might as well get rid of it.
Right, and that's because we get less light in the winter time.
That's right, but also because temperatures drop,
okay.
And it's not easy for the plants to synthesise the sugars they need at low temperatures. It's when the balance between the costs of running it versus the benefits that you get from its production start to run into
okay, we've all had
negative
cars
equity.
like that, I think. A lot of cars I certainly have. Okay, so they start to lose their leaves, but why do they go yellow?
Right, well, chlorophyll actually contains a large number of different sorts of element, and some of those are very, very useful to the plant, but they're actually quite difficult for it to get hold of. So before it disposes of the leaf, before it chucks it away, the tree actually attempts to recycle some of those important constituents. Yeah? So it actually sucks them back out of the leaf, back into the core.
Right.
Yeah? Now, as it does that, this important pigment, chlorophyll, that we've already talked about, actually begins to break down.
Right.
Yeah? And as it breaks down, it ceases to absorb any light at all, yeah? And leaves lose their green colour. When they lose their green colour, we actually begin to see other colours revealed. Yeah? The yellow colour that you can see in this leaf has been there all summer, but it's just been covered over by the thick green pigment of chlorophyll.
And you can actually see on that leaf the sort of green almost draining away along these veins, can't you?
That's right, and actually the area between the veins will be one of the areas that will turn yellow first.
Is that how the leaf actually draws in those important nutrients?
It's a drainage network, just like a river flowing down a hillside.
Or indeed a vein in a body.
In a human body, yeah.
Now, not all leaves turn yellow and brown, do they? Some leaves turn a fantastic red colour, don't they?
Right, well this is where the mystery begins, because we don't really understand why some leaves, just at this time of autumn, actually begin to manufacture another pigment, a bright red pigment, and produce that in very, very large quantities in their leaves. Yeah? The explanation for that, we know what it does. It produces the sort of spectacular displays of colour that you see in so many maples, Virginia creeper, red oaks and things like that. But actually understanding why they do it
And this is
very
a special
difficult.
pigment, isn't it? This is a special chemical that the plant especially produces at this time of year and puts into the leaves. So it's not like it's just kind of sucking all its nutrient bits back and this is what you see.
That's right.
It's actually something that it's specially putting in. So we're going to go and, how many specials can I say in one sentence? We're going to go, and I do think it's very special actually, when the leaves turn their colour. So we're going to go and find a red tree now, aren't we? And then
Okay.
and talk about that. Okay, off we go.
I reckon we should head over to that side.
Spot any red trees, let us know. Okay? But Nick, the trees are all green. We're trying to find a red one. Now, is this anything to do with global warming and the elongation of the growing season? The growing season getting longer because the weather's better generally, is that right?
To some extent that's the case, though actually the main thing that causes leaves to fall in autumn is day length, and day length is not being affected by
We
global
hope.
warming yet.
We hope, although you never know nowadays. Okay, so Nick, we finally found, having tracked around, we finally found a red tree. And here it is. It's a prunus, a plum tree. Is that right? Or a
That's
cherry
right,
tree?
yeah.
And it's made a special effort to go red, hasn't it?
That's right.
It hasn't
yeah.
just drained away its green. It's specially gone red. Now, what's it doing?
Well, a few weeks ago these leaves would have been green, but actually what it's done is to pump in, or to manufacture in its leaves a pigment called anthocyanin. Yep. And it's that anthocyanin that's giving these leaves the beautiful red colour. Now the mystery is, why does it do that? Because it's a big cost.
So it can't
Yeah.
make energy, it can't make food for itself, but it's gone red. So why is it doing it, Nick?
Well, there are a number of explanations, but nobody really knows. The most obvious one is that anthocyanins are frequently used by plants not in autumn, but in other parts of the world at other times of year, for repelling insects. Yeah. Anthocyanin, as you'll probably tell from the name, has got cyanide in it, and it's a highly toxic chemical to many
poison.
insects. It's an insecticide. Yeah. So it could be that the leaf is manufacturing this compound to prevent it getting eaten by insects. That strikes me as being a daft idea, because at this time of year, it's the last time of year you need to protect your leaf from further insect damage. It's almost done its job. It's just about to drop it. It's not really the time to be spraying on insecticide, as any gardener would know.
Right.
Yeah? Okay, what might be some of the other explanations then? Well, it could be that it's using anthocyanin as an antifreeze to stop the leaf from actually freezing up when we get cold mornings, as we're bound to over the next few weeks.
Okay, so the red colour's almost just irrelevant. It just happens to be red.
Yeah, it happens to be easy to manufacture from some of the compounds that are left in the leaf at the end of the summer. And it could just be, in a sense, almost coincidental that it uses this particular compound to... The red colour could be coincidental to it producing an antifreeze to keep the
Because that's
leaf
amazing,
moving.
isn't it? Because they are so vivid and so bright and so kind of obvious, and we react so much to them, and yet one explanation is that it's got nothing to do with that, really.
Right, well a third explanation draws on exactly what you've just said, that they're very obvious, they're very bright, and it could be that trees are using leaves like this to display to animals that they've got fruit.
And
in
the
their
reason
seeds.
it wants animals to eat its... I said people nearly, because I've been eating so many apples recently off my granddad's trees, but the reason it wants animals, including humans, to eat its fruit is because they'll run away with it and it'll pass through their gut, and not to put too fine a point on it, it'll come out the other side in a nice little pile of manure, and then the seed will be well set up to germinate the next spring and grow into a new tree. Is that right?
That's right. What this tree might be saying is, hey animals, I've got plenty of food, come and feed from me and not from that dull green or yellow one over there.
Right, okay, so it's like a beacon.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, are you convinced by that idea?
Not necessarily, because it's not just fruit trees that do this. We know that one of the big families that has this fantastic display of reds and oranges in autumn includes the Acer family, the maples, the sycamores, and they don't produce fleshy fruits at this time of year for animals to disperse. So, well, what other explanation could there be?
Explanation number 4 this is, isn't there?
That's right. Well, this is a very recent explanation come up with by a very well-known evolutionary biologist from Oxford, a guy called Bill Hamilton, working with Sam Brown here in the university, and they suggested that what actually the tree might be doing is sending out a signal not to attract animals but actually to repel them. Yeah? And the animals that it's trying to repel are insects. Okay, so really what this tree is saying is, get off, I'm tough.
Right.
Yeah? By having a big display of these bright red colours, it's actually letting the insects know that it's a tree that's not going to be a good place for them to overwinter. This time of year, a lot of aphids are looking for places to spend the winter. And when we get to springtime, they're going to start reproducing, and that's really when the tree suffers badly. We know that aphids can knock back seedlings of trees and reduce their productivity by over 3 times.
Stop them growing.
Stop them growing.
Okay,
yeah.
so there's aphids flying around at the moment in autumn, and they're doing their thing, and they're looking for somewhere to sort of hang out over the winter until the next season comes around. And as they're flying around, they see a big bright red tree. Why don't they think, oh, there's a nice red tree, well, I'll go there? Is that not what they do?
Well, no, experiments have shown that actually what aphids are looking for is pale yellow colours.
Right.
And actually they're repelled by reds.
Okay.
So Hamilton hypothesised that what trees are trying to do is to send a signal about their state of health. Yeah. And the tougher you are as a tree, the more resources you've got to throw around in extravagant displays of leaf colour, yeah? And the more anthocyanins, these horrible insecticides, you can produce. So you put it into your leaves at this time of the year to say to the aphids, go away and find somebody else, don't overwinter on me, because when your young hatch next year, they're going to find this is a lousy place to be feeding.
I'm too tough for you.
That's right.
Are you convinced by that idea, Nick?
I think that's actually got a lot going for it. Yeah, I think that provides a very reasonable explanation for why trees are investing so much of their energy in doing something which appears to us to be just beautiful. It has no other obvious function.
Right. And Bill Hamilton was one of the brains of Britain, wasn't he? He passed away recently, didn't he?
Very, very sadly, he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So his idea lives on.
That's right.
And we've plumped for that one.
Yeah, that's certainly that. I'm putting my money on that one. I think it needs a bit more work on it, and that's certainly where some of my research will be going shortly.
Brilliant. Okay, Nick, thank you very much for coming out with us. We'll go and enjoy more of the autumn leaves, shall we?
Thank you.
Brilliant. Next week's show is all about mushrooms. Is this the biggest mushroom in the world? If you've got a mushroom bigger, then contact me at Wild 6TV, the Oxford channel, 270 Woodstock Road, Oxford OX2 7NW. And I'll see you next week.